Okay. This is 200 Q&A, final number 1. Terms are DUI, Illinois, State of Illinois, Arizona, State of Arizona, DMV, Proctor County, Portola Street, Phoenix, and Duane. Do you have a current driver's license?
No, not at this time, I don't.
Is that because your license has been suspended?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell me the date that your license was suspended?
I don't remember when it was. I don't remember the date.
Do you recall how recently it was suspended?
It's been suspended for almost 2 years now, but I don't know the exact date.
That is something I forgot to mention earlier, is that we don't want you to guess at your answers. We are here to get your best recollection of the facts and so forth. So if you don't remember something, it's fine to say that, okay?
Sure. So I don't remember when it got suspended.
It's always fine to say you don't recall if that's your best testimony you can give. I'm entitled to your best estimate, and as an example, you might be able to estimate the length of this table in front of you. But I can't ask you what the size of my office desk is because you've never seen it before. Does that make sense to you?
Sure, yeah.
So even though I might ask for a date and a time and things like that, if you don't recall, just say that you don't, okay?
Yes, okay.
Your best recollection then is that your driver's license was suspended approximately 2 years ago.
Yes.
Do you recall why you had your license suspended?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell me why it was suspended?
I got a DUI.
When did you get first a driver's license?
When I was 17.
Was that license issued to you in Illinois?
My first license? Yes, it was.
So the very first license you got was from the state of Illinois, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Was your Illinois license ever suspended for any reason?
No.
So when you moved to Arizona, you got a license there, is that right?
Yes.
Prior to the suspension of your license due to the DUI, was your license ever suspended in the state of Arizona for any reason?
Yes, it was.
When was the first time your Arizona license was suspended?
I don't remember when it was.
Do you recall how old you were at the time?
I was 19 years old.
Do you recall the reason for the suspension of your license when you were 19?
I had a lot of tickets that I owed on.
Are we talking about parking tickets or moving violations?
I had some unpaid speeding tickets.
How much time passed before you were able to get another license after the first suspension in Arizona?
I don't remember how long after it was.
Did you have your license suspended again before it was suspended for the DUI?
No.
How many months or years did you have your license back before you got the DUI?
I don't remember.
Please try to approximate the years for me.
It was like 5 years at least.
Did you plead guilty or no contest to the DUI?
I pled guilty.
Have you ever been given a time frame in which you can apply to get your license back?
Yes. They sent me something from the DMV last year.
Did it tell you when you can reapply?
Yes, but I have to get my insurance coverage first if I can.
You have to show proof of insurance before you can get your license back?
That's what I was told.
Have you only had the one DUI conviction?
Yes.
Did you have an attorney represent you?
Yes, I did.
Who was your attorney?
She was a public defender in Proctor County. I don't remember her name.
Do you recall the date of the accident regarding this lawsuit?
No.
Do you know that it was in 2015?
I know that.
Do you recall what month it happened in 2015?
Like in March.
Was your license suspended prior to the accident or after the accident?
It was prior to it.
So you were driving without a license at the time of the accident?
Yes.
Was your license suspended within the year prior to the accident?
Yes.
Have you had any education other than high school in Illinois?
No, I haven't.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes.
Have you gone to college or trade school or something such as that?
No.
Do you know what day of the week it was that the accident occurred?
I don't remember.
Do you recall where the accident occurred?
Yes. It was on Portola Street in Phoenix.
You were riding your bicycle at the time, is that right?
Yes.
What kind of bike were you riding that day?
It was a mountain bike.
Were you the owner of the bike?
Yes.
Did you buy the bike before you got the DUI or after?
I bought it like a year before the DUI.
Do you recall how much you paid for the bicycle?
It was like $300 or something close to that.
Did you buy it from a store or was it a personal sale?
Personal. I bought it from a friend of mine.
Do you know how long your friend had the bike before it was sold to you?
No, I don't know.
What is the name of your friend who sold the bike to you?
Dwayne. And I don't know his last name.
Do you have a telephone number for him?
No, I don't.
Do you have any way of reaching him?
No, I don't know his address or anything. I just see him when I see him.
Do you happen to know if Dwayne did any work or made any modifications to the bicycle before it was sold to you?
I don't know.
Do you know if he paid someone to do any work or modifications on? Okay, this will be 200 Q&A final number 2. The terms are Mr. Deco, Ms. Schuler, Ms. Dolan, Sonia, Elise, and Jonetta. Do you recall how long the meeting with her lasted that day?
It was about a half an hour, maybe a little bit longer.
What was the meeting about? What did the two of you discuss?
We talked about why she was leaving the job.
Did she tell you what she was going to do once she left the job?
She said she was going to see some employment agencies that same day.
Did you recall anything else the two of you discussed at that meeting?
We talked a bit about the things she had been feeling and thinking about.
Did you ask her if she would reconsider her decision to leave?
Yes, I did.
Did the two of you discuss that in some depth at the meeting?
No, she just said that she couldn't go back there ever again due to what had happened.
Do you recall anything else the two of you discussed at the meeting that day?
No, I think that was all. I don't recall anything else.
When you left the meeting, did the two of you go separate ways?
Yes, we did.
This meeting the two of you had was on the Tuesday after she had quit her job. Is that right?
Yes, it was on Tuesday.
Do you recall the exact date that she quit her job?
It was the 27th of May or close to that date.
Did she ever talk to you about any of the incidents that happened between her and Mr. Deco?
No, not at all.
Did you ever do any investigation on your own into what she might have meant by her comment about sexual harassment?
As I recall, I did talk to Mr. Deco about it.
Where did the conversation between you and Mr. Deco take place?
As I recall, I spoke to him in his office.
Was it shortly after the meeting you had with Ms. Schuler?
Shortly thereafter, yes.
Do you recall how long the conversation between you and Mr. Deco lasted?
It lasted about 15 minutes or less.
What did you say to him in the course of that meeting?
I told him what Ms. Schuler had stated to me and asked him to tell me what he thought.
And do you recall what his response was?
He said that he didn't know why she would say such things about him and that it wasn't true.
Do you recall anything else you said to him or him to you in that meeting in his office?
There was nothing else to talk about at that point.
Did you believe Mr. Deco when he told you that Ms. Schuler's allegations of sexual harassment were not true?
Yes, I did believe him.
Did you and Mr. Deco have any other conversations on the topic beyond that initial one in his office?
Yes, we talked a few other times.
Did you talk to Ms. Dolan about any of the allegations other than on this one occasion?
No, I haven't spoken to anyone else about it.
So to your knowledge, no one else at the company is aware of the allegations. Is that correct?
I don't know who is aware of it and who isn't.
Did Ms. Dolan ever express an opinion to you about the allegations made by Ms. Schuler?
As I recall, she didn't say anything to me about it.
Did any of the other 5 women in the office ever indicate to you that they knew what Ms. Schuler was talking about?
If they did, not one of them ever mentioned it to me.
I take it you never asked any of these 5 other women in the office whether or not they had experienced sexual harassment of any kind at work. Is that correct?
No, I didn't.
After you met with Ms. Schuler the first time, have you seen her since then?
No, I have not.
After she quit her job, was Mr. Deco going to call her? Do you know?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Did you ever suggest to him that he should call Ms. Schuler?
We never talked about it.
After Ms. Schuler quit her job, was she given 2 weeks' pay beyond the Friday that she worked?
Yes, I believe she was.
Was that a decision that you made on your own?
Yes, it was.
Why did you decide to give her 2 weeks' pay?
She was very upset when she left, and I knew it wouldn't be easy for her to find another job.
Did you have to get anyone's approval to do that?
No, I did not.
To your knowledge, does Mr. Deco know that you gave her an extra paycheck?
I told him at some point when I went to give her a final check.
Was the extra pay included in the final check you cut her?
Yes, it was.
When Ms. Schuler worked as the office manager, was she an employee of the company or was she hired through an agency?
She was employed by the company.
When she worked during the day as a clerk in the office, was she an employee of the company?
No, she was hired through a temp agency for that.
Do you recall her ever saying anything to you about her work with the temp agency?
No, I don't.
When she quit, did you explain to any of the other employees why she left?
Yes, we did.
Do you recall what it was that you told them about her leaving?
I just told them she had left and that she wouldn't be coming back.
Did you expand on that or give them a reason for her leaving?
No. I assumed some of them would be in touch with her.
Do you recall who was in the office that day when you made the announcement?
I know that Sonia and Elise were there, and I think Janetta was too.
Did Ms. Schuler ever mention to you before she quit her job Okay, this will be 180 Q&A, final number 1. Names are Barton, Stokely, Fox, and Barton Road. So you can see approximately 1/10 of a mile down Barton.
Yes.
Could you see any further than 1/10 of a mile down Barton that day?
Yes. It was a clear day, but I didn't look any further.
I understand that you didn't necessarily focus beyond that stoplight, but how far down could you see on Barton, even though you weren't necessarily pinpointing your attention to any point beyond that intersection?
I would say another block.
Is that a block 1/10 of a mile to you?
Yes.
Now, at the same point in time when you were stopped at the Stokely stop sign, when you could see a block past that light on Barton, could you see the ramp to your left? Did you have any view of the ramp from the expressway to your left?
On the expressway? Off the expressway?
The ramp from the expressway. Could you see down it for any distance at all?
Yes.
Okay, and this is to your left as you were stopped at the stop sign to get to the location.
Would you say that again?
When you were stopped at the stop sign at Stokely, you indicated that you could see approximately down to the light at Fox on Barton.
Right.
And perhaps a little further than that light.
Right.
Directing your attention to the ramp coming from the expressway up into Barton, could you see down that ramp to your left?
I'm afraid I don't understand. Oh, wait. It's on an upgrade?
Yes.
And there are bushes there?
Where are these bushes?
As the ramp rises and there's a wedge, I know it has bushes there.
Where are the bushes?
At the rise where you would see into the expressway, there are bushes. I don't know whether they grow down to the lower level or whether they're growing on the side.
Could you see down the ramp to your left at all when you were stopped at that stop sign?
I didn't see anything.
You didn't see anything. I understand. Did you look?
Oh, yes. That was straight ahead of me.
Did you look to the left?
You can't see to the left.
So you couldn't see down that ramp, could you?
It's not down. It's up. The ramp is straight ahead of me as a slight rise. That's the expressway. And it comes down and the wedge was here. Now, straight ahead of me, unless there's something high, you can't see it.
So the ramp comes down from your left.
Right.
Right meaning correct?
Correct.
Is it also correct that you could not see to the left of the ramp?
There was nothing that I could see.
Your vision was blocked by the bushes?
I could see, but there was nothing there.
Was your vision blocked by the bushes?
To that extent, to the height of the bushes. But if there had been anything above the bushes, I would have seen it.
How high were the bushes from the surface of that island?
From the level island in front of me, about 4 or 5 feet.
The entire ramp, that is the exit from the boulevard, comes from your left, from a higher point, and comes down to the level of Barton Road, coming from your right to your left as you are stopped at Stokely facing Barton. Is that correct?
Right.
Where did you look, if you looked at all, at the ramp to see if anything was coming down?
Before I looked to the right, before I looked to my left at Barton.
After you looked to the left at Barton, what did you do next?
I started to make my turn.
What kind of a day was it? Was it rainy, bright, cloudy?
No, it was a clear day. I don't remember whether the sun was out.
Was the road dry where the accident happened?
Yes.
Did you see any skid marks at the scene of the accident?
Yes, we did.
Where were they?
From like the middle of the ramp to the side.
That would be the left side as you come down the ramp.
From about the center to the left side of the ramp. Right.
Now, when you say the center of the ramp, do you mean that in terms of the center point going from side to side?
The width.
You mean the width of the ramp?
Yes.
And do you know how many feet those skid marks were?
I don't know.
Do you know to what vehicle they pertained?
No.
Before the date of this accident, which happened on April 11 of 1991, had you ever injured your right shoulder or under your right arm?
No.
Did you ever hurt your neck before that date?
No.
Did you ever hurt your back before that date?
No.
Before April 11 of 1991, had you ever been involved in any other type of accident or any other motor vehicle accident?
Yes.
When was that?
I don't remember the date.
Do you remember the year?
I'm trying to think of where I lived or what I was doing, but it was on a snowy day and I stopped for a light and the car behind me went into me.
You were rear-ended sometime before this accident happened,
Yes.
but you don't know when or what year?
I don't remember what.
All right, 180 Q&A, final number 2. Esther Lawson, John Lawson, morning call, First Street, Mrs. Lawson, Social Security, West End, and Roger. Okay. Let me ask you before we get started, have you ever been deposed before, given a deposition like this?
I've never given a deposition before.
I'm sure your attorney may have said to you about it, but I'm going to ask you questions. You need to answer them. You are under oath. It's like testifying in court. There are a number of rules I would like you to follow as best you can. I understand the acoustics in this room aren't particularly great. If you don't hear one of my questions, or if I mumble or I ask a question you don't understand, feel free to stop me and ask me to explain the question, rephrase it, repeat it. I'll be happy to do so. If you don't request me to explain the question, repeat it, or rephrase it, I will assume you heard and understood the question. Also, if you can answer my questions out loud. I know in conversation there's a tendency to kind of nod your head, but we want to make sure we have your testimony clear. So if you could answer audibly, that would be helpful also.
All right.
The only other thing I want to say is the court reporter is going to take down everything that's said in the deposition. Therefore, if you could please wait until I finish asking my question, make sure you've heard the whole question before you answer. Also, by waiting until I have finished my question, we're not talking at the same time.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about the deposition before we get started?
Not really.
Could you please state your full name for the record?
Esther Lawson.
Are you currently married?
Yes.
What's your husband's name?
John Lawson.
How long have you been married to John?
39 years.
Have you all ever been legally separated or divorced during that time?
No.
Do you have any children?
4.
Do any of those 4 children reside with you at this time?
No.
Does anybody else besides you and John live at your present address?
No.
Mrs. Lawson, are you currently employed?
I work on weekends at Morning Call on First Street.
How long have you been doing that?
I believe since 91 after my husband retired from the government.
Let me ask you this. According to the police report that I have in front of me and the information I have, the accident happened on February 23rd of 1996. Does that agree with your memory of about when the accident happened?
Yes, it does.
At that time, were you working on weekends for Morning Call?
Yes, I was.
Did you ever work during the week or just weekends?
I've worked during the week on occasions. If they need me, they'd call.
It is certainly not full-time.
It is not permanent.
Did you miss any work, or did they ask you to come in when you couldn't come in following this accident because of pain or injuries from the automobile accident that we're here for today?
I know I missed one weekend. They've called several times and I couldn't go for one reason or another. I can't swear that that was the reason.
You do remember missing one weekend.
Right.
Was that the weekend after this accident?
That was right after the accident.
Do you recall what day of the week the automobile accident we're here for today happened?
I'm not quite sure, but I think it was a Friday.
Do you know how long you were scheduled to work on that particular weekend, or do you have a permanent weekend schedule?
Yes, I do. From 7 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon.
What do you earn when you're working for morning call, let's say at the time of the accident?
$4.50 an hour. I thought you wanted to know what I did.
Do you get any tips or anything?
No, I work in the kitchen.
Have you had any problems performing your duties at morning call since this automobile accident because of the injuries you sustained in it?
I have hurting in my right arm.
Pardon?
In my right arm, it hurts.
Are you able to perform your duties? It just hurts?
I do it, but it hurts.
Have you sought any other employment or tried to get any other jobs since February of '96?
No, I haven't.
What's the extent of your education, Mrs. Lawson?
High school.
Where did you go to high school?
Here in town.
Did you graduate?
Yes.
Have you had any further education since graduating from high school?
No.
What's your date of birth?
10/8/36.
Do you know your social security number?
No.
Have you ever been convicted or pled guilty to any criminal offense?
No.
Have you ever filed for or been discharged in bankruptcy?
No.
Have you ever been in the military?
No.
The accident that we're here for today that happened in February of 1996, whereabouts did the accident happen?
Let's see. It was on West End.
Was this on an elevated portion of the roadway or was it on the ground level?
Oh, it's not an elevated roadway. It's ground level.
Were you driving?
No. My son was, Roger.
Where were y'all going at the time?
Home.
Where were you coming from?